How's it going, Guardian? Shifty here, and today I've got for you another solo flawless run of the Duality dungeon. This time I'm going to be running it on a Titan. Also, I did this one after the nerf to Titan throwing hammers, and I won't be using any glitches or cheeses for this run. This video is going to be a full uncut run with commentary. In just a moment, I'm going to be going over my loadout, but before I do that, if you end up enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Alright, so for this run, I will be using a Solar 3.0 Titan. I'm going to be using the Hammer of Soul Super, the Rally Barricade, Strafe Lift, Throwing Hammer, Fusion Grenade. Then for my aspects, I have Roaring Flames, and I have Soul Invictus. For my fragments, I have Ember of Solace, Ember of Torches, Ember of Ashes, and Ember of Singeing. Now my Solar 3.0 setup won't change throughout the run, but I do use a variety of different weapons for each encounter. You will be able to see me make some switches and minor adjustments to my loadout throughout the run, but I do want to go over them here real quick. So for the first encounter, my weapon selection is going to be Deliverance in my kinetic slot, the Enigma in my energy slot, and Tractor Cannon in my heavy slot. Then for the Vault encounter, I'm going to have Peace of Mind in my kinetic slot, Ariana's Vow in my energy slot, and the Corrective Measure in my heavy slot, although any machine gun would work here. Then when it comes to the final boss encounter, I will have Arbalest in my kinetic slot, Sweet Sorrow in my energy slot, and the Storm Chaser linear fusion rifle in my heavy slot. In terms of armor and armor mods, I only have a few minor changes between the first and second encounter. My current armor selection is what I wear for both of those encounters. So in my helmet, I do have Machine Gun Ammo Finder and Bountiful Wells. Then I'm wearing Synthoceps, and I have Glaive of Dreams, which I will switch off to Machine Gun Loader for the second encounter. I also have Well of Life there. In my chest piece, I have double Solar Void Resistance, and I also have Seeking Wells. I will swap one Solar Void Resistance for an Arc Resistance during the second encounter. Then in my legs, I have Melee Wellmaker, and in my Titan Mark, I have Classy Restoration, Utility Kickstart, and Elemental Ordnance. Then for the final boss fight, I will be swapping to the Laurely Splendor Helmet with Linear Fusion Rifle Ammo Finder and Elemental Charge. In my arms, I have Auto Rifle Loader, Linear Fusion Rifle Loader, and Well of Life. In my chest, I'll have Solar Void Resistance alongside Seeking Wells again. In my legs, I'll have Melee Wellmaker still, and then in my class item, I'll have Classy Restoration and High Energy Fire. Alright, and that is it for my loadout for each encounter. I will be doing these switches throughout the run, but I do it too quickly to be able to explain it in that amount of time. So now, with that said, let's get into the run.
You arrive. Good. Yes. We have only a brief window of opportunity.
The darkness is thick here, coalesced inside this effigy of Emperor Callus. It is tethered to his very mind. I have snared that thread, caught it between my fingers and woven it into a tapestry. One that I can weave you into. Enter Callus's consciousness. Use this opportunity to steal his darkest secrets from him. Now go.
I will be there. What you feel may seem like reality, but it is not the one you know. Your mind now stretches across a vast gulf.
So I'm going to be moving through this pretty quickly. There's not really a ton to say for the jumping sections, especially if you're going for a solo flawless. I will pretty much skip most of the enemies. There's no need to stand around and fight them. During this section, I do get an Elemental Well so I can get some Well of Life, so I can heal a little bit while I'm getting shot at. As you can see, it kind of just tops off my health. But otherwise, we're just going to rotate around here and get up to the top of the room. Might as well refresh my Well of Life.
This is a recollection of a time since past.
My path of conquest is so grand, because I lived a grand life. One day, my daughter, yours will be just as majestic.
So I do want to forewarn you, I'm not incredible with the Hammer Titan. I didn't really play the Throwing Hammer Titan too much before this, And so I really just gave it a go for this dungeon. And so it's not nearly as effective as it could be, or as you've seen other people be with it.
From here, you must navigate these memories on your own.
As you can see, I pretty much skip every enemy, but every once in a while I get an ability kill so I can get a well of life. So I think one of the first things that should be done in a solo flawless run is to really figure out the jumping puzzles, kind of get them memorized. It really should only take a couple of runs to figure them out, but once you do, it'll make it less frustrating when you die during a solo flawless attempt. Not that it'll really be that much less frustrating, because any death during a solo flawless attempt is, but this will help minimize the stress associated with trying to attempt this. So that's why I'm not really going too in depth on where to go and how to get there. So in this room we do have to clear it out, and then we'll be right at the first encounter. You may notice I am using a pulse rifle here in my kinetic slot right now, which doesn't line up with what I said I used for the first encounter. I really only have that pulse rifle on so I could shoot the bells to get to the first encounter. Alright, all the enemies should be down. Make sure my tractor cannon is reloaded. Then swap my pulse rifle for my deliverance. Now we're going to hop down to the first encounter. So first step, we want to head to the Nightmare Realm. Now I'm going to check each of the 4 rooms in the corners of the Nightmare Realm to see if I can find the Scions. There's going to be 2 rooms that contain a Scion. In the first one, I'm going to go ahead and kill that Scion, grab the standard. Now I'm not sure if this is considered a no cheese run if I do this, but I am going to leave the second standard up after I kill the second Scion. I'm not going to grab it. Since that hasn't been patched, I assume it's part of the mechanics. So leaving that standard up will make it so I can extend my damage phase just a little bit. And so here I'm heading back to the normal realm with the 1 standard that I grabbed. I'm going to go ahead and dunk it right away. But we do need to kill some bell keepers so that I can actually ring the bell when I need it. Again, placing that standard is going to open that room there. I'm going to go ahead and kill the newly spawned bell keepers. With Synthoceps and some Roaring Flames, you can generally one-shot most enemies, as you can see. And I pretty much just take advantage of the throwing hammer wherever I can. So, we're going to go ahead and kill the Visions of Gahlran here. There's going to be 6 of them here. You can see the throwing hammer putting in work. And after the door opens, after this last vision, I'm going to head over and kill the Bell Keepers. Then I'm going to go and grab that standard that I left from earlier. It's going to be right over here. I don't want to kill any of these enemies. I want to leave the Scion that respawned in here up. That way when I head into the damage phase, I can kill that Scion and get an extra 15 seconds. So like I said, the door glitch was patched in the final boss fight, but this hasn't been patched, so I'm going to assume it's part of the mechanics. If you want to get a bit of extra time during the damage phase. So now I'm going to head to this side of the room where we're going to have 2 bell keepers. I'm going to take those 2 bell keepers out. And place the War Beast standard. This is going to, of course, open the door. We're going to have to deal with a few enemies. And then when I ring the bell, we're going to have to kill 6 Visions of Gahlran. And then it's heading into the first damage phase. So I'm going to ring the bell, get prepared to kill the visions. There was a Scion that gave me an extra 15 seconds. And I lost my hammer here. Just use my fusion rifle. Alright, I have my hammer back, which is going to be necessary for the boss fight. Take out the last visions here. And let's head out to do some damage. Now, not everyone does this, but I like to kill the Bellkeepers right away, just so I don't have to worry about it. And let's head over to Gahlran. And I'm going to go ahead and tractor cannon, and then we're just going to keep bouncing the hammer off of him, and I'm going to keep collecting it. I lost my hammer for a second, but we got it back. So my health got low there. I went over and refreshed Roaring Flames with a throwing hammer. Also, when my health gets low, sometimes I pop my super, just like I did right there. We still have 20 seconds to go. I want to get in as much damage as I can. I did well over half. I don't want to try to push this too hard. Now I want to get over to the bell. I'm barely going to have enough time the way it is. Here we are. Let's ring the bell. And there we go. So for the first damage phase, we got over half of its health, so we only really need a decent second damage phase. So now we just repeat the process. We go back to the Nightmare Realm, kill one Scion, grab the standard, kill the second Scion, leave the standard. We want to take care of the Bellkeepers, of course. You don't want to touch that standard sitting there. We just want to kill the Scion, which will change that standard to the one we actually will need. And we're going to go ahead and finish off the last Bellkeeper and head back to the regular realm. Take out the two Bellkeepers. Go ahead and place my axe standard. So if you are going to use a Titan throwing hammer build, you always want to make sure you're picking up your hammer. Let's go kill the first 6 visions of Gahlran. Alright, head on out to kill the Bellkeepers and then go ahead and grab the second standard. Again, when grabbing the second standard, you don't want to kill the Scion in the room, you want to leave it for the damage phase. Let's head back to the normal realm. And I'm going to go ahead and dunk the War Beast standard right away. Then we're going to have to kill the Bellkeepers. And then we should be good to go to finish off this encounter. Make sure I grab my hammer there. We do have to kill those Bellkeepers yet. And I wasn't being very careful there. You do really have to be careful with the boop physics in this dungeon. I could have easily died there for a random boop into a wall. And we're going to head in for our next damage phase. Scion is dead, so we're going to get that extra 15 seconds. Kill all these visions of Gahlran. Alright, let's head on out. Kill the Bellkeepers just in case. I imagine I'm going to take Gahlran out this round, but I just want to be careful. You never know. Alright, let's get to throwing the hammer. In this case, I was so low in health, I just decided to pop my super and get the encounter done with. Super does do a significant amount of damage when you have Synthoceps equipped. Now I am swapping to my second encounter loadout already. So again, I'm swapping off Glaive of Dreams for Machine Gun Loader and also one of my Void Solar Resist to an Arc Resist. Now we're going to work our way through another kind of jumping section to get to the second encounter, the Vault Encounter.
There was a time I would have gladly laid in death beside you, here in these crypts. But we were both different then.
So at the beginning of this section, you may have noticed I swapped to Lion Rampant. That's because I don't trust myself enough anymore to be able to make these jumps safely without it. I've lost a few solo flawless attempts here on my Titan by misjumping during these sections when I would have otherwise had a solo flawless run. Don't forget that going down this slide, you're going to want to jump to kind of stall your momentum so you don't just fly down the slide and hit the wall and die. But going back to my solo flawless attempts that were ruined, the worst case was when I got through both the first and second encounter and then I fell down a hole right before the final boss fight. During that run, I decided to continue and go through the boss fight, and I actually got a solo flawless boss fight. The only mistake throughout that entire run was just falling down a hole. So since then, I just put it on Lion Rampant when I'm going through the jumping sections. Alright, so we're almost to the room where we open the vault. What I do is jump right over the edge to the right, head to the Nightmare Realm. Then I turn this one 3 times. Then I head to the left statue. And I'm going to turn this one twice. Then I head to the left one more time, and I'm going to hit this one twice as well. As soon as this one is done, I'm going to head up and head back to the regular realm, and the vault should begin opening. Swap back off Lion Rampant, back to Synthoceps. So the mechanics for this encounter don't really change too much from what we've learned so far. I'm going to use a rally flag. I'm going to make sure everything's reloaded. And then I'm going to kind of head down here to start the encounter. I'm going to sit here and look for the 2 standards I need. So Axes and Chalice. I'm going to get some kills here on some of these newly spawned legionaries quick with my throwing hammer. And then take the Bellkeepers out that are beneath the place where we put the rally flag earlier. So I'm going to need Axes and Chalice. Again, as I said in my Warlock solo flawless run, it helps to pull a map up here so you know where to go in the Nightmare Realm. So I'm going to head to the Nightmare Realm, and I'm going to grab one standard at a time. I usually shoot the bell from the very opposite side of the arena and kill the bell keepers right beneath where I get teleported at. So if you don't know this area well, you're going to want to have that map available so you know which room to go to in what corner of the Nightmare Realm to get the appropriate standard. There are also clues that you are in the correct room. I believe I'm in the chalice area, and in the very middle of this room, there are chalices sitting there on that kind of raised platform. So I knew I was in the right location. Now that I have my standard, I'm going to head back on out. Now, I didn't mention this just a second ago, but in each of those rooms, you do have to kill pretty much all the enemies in order to get the standard bearer to spawn. As soon as I'm back in the regular realm here, I'm going to go and place my chalice standard. Then I'm going to head and start killing some of these legionaries, and then I'm going to kill the bell keepers that are right beneath where I spawned in at. This is going to allow me to quickly go back to the Nightmare Realm to grab my second standard. And so the second standard I need again is Axe. So I'm going to teleport opposite side of the arena, kill the bell keepers right below where I spawned. Then head to the Axe room. If you do have Radiant by using your melee ability, Ariana's Vow will one-shot to the body, which makes it an excellent weapon here. Take out the Colossus. I took out pretty much all the enemies in the room. A few of the stragglers can come from the main area, but now I can kill the standard bearer. And we can head back to the normal realm. Now, once I place the second standard, the previously impervious boss in the middle of the normal realm will be able to take damage, and we will want to kill that. We will have unlimited time to do so, but we don't need to push and extend for it to be too long. There's that impervious boss. I'm going to go ahead and dunk the standard. I'm going to get some stacks of roaring flames up here and clear out a few of these legionaries real quick. But now I'm basically going to do the same thing I did for Gahlran, except I won't have tractor cannon. Since I almost died there, I decided to go ahead and just pop my super. I did lose my hammer, which may not be ideal coming up here. Alright, so the boss is at least down. Now we're going to have to repeat that 2 more times. We have another impervious boss, and 2 more standard spots have opened up in the middle of the room. However, the problem right now is I do not have my throwing hammer, so I'm going to go ahead and wait until I get that back. Use my machine gun to kind of get my way out of here. Head to the other side where there's not so many enemies. And let's go ahead and throw a grenade. That'll give us a sunspot that we can proc Soul Invictus and some elemental wells, and hopefully get the throwing hammer back. That way we can go ahead and kill the bell keepers. Let's see what standards we need here. We need dog and we need sun. So we're going to repeat that process. We're going to get the 2 standards from the Nightmare Realm 1 at a time. Then we're going to kill the second boss and then repeat it for a 3rd time. Alright, let's go get the first standard. Again, we needed dogs. You can see a dog right there in the middle of the room, so we know we're in the right place. Alright, we should have the standard bearer. Grab the standard. Every once in a while I bonk a legionary just to get some healing a little bit. Maybe proc roaring flames, so when I head out I can use it on the legionaries there. Alright, let's go ahead and dunk the War Beast standard. Sometimes I'm actually pretty terrible at throwing the hammer, as I kind of alluded to earlier. Don't use it all that often. Alright, the Bellkeepers are down, so we can head in and grab the second standard. And so the second boss for me is actually the one that can boop you around, which is a little problematic, especially with the hammer bonk build. But you'll see we do get the job done when I come to killing the second boss after we dunk this standard. Again, we needed the sun standard. You can see a sun right up above the back of this room. Head up and get the standard bearer dealt with. There we go. Back to the regular realm where we're going to dunk the standard. Unfortunately, the boss is standing right next to it, and if I head on over there, it's going to boot me. So I'm going to have to hold off for just a moment. Alright, I'm going to head up now. And I got booped across the arena. That's no good. Let's try that again. If I could actually throw my hammers at the enemies. Anyway, there we go. My hammer's over here. Let's try this again. Let's kill some of these legionaries. Let's bonk this boss. You can see it's going to keep doing that to me. If you get close enough, sometimes you can like make it stagger a little bit so it won't do that. But some of this flinching is making it difficult for me to actually be able to hit the boss. Let's try this again. We'll get this boss taken care of. I'm just going to go ahead and pop my super to make this last bit of health easier, and then I'll be able to clear out some of these legionaries as well. Deal with the Bellkeeper. And we are on to the third and final boss of the Vault Encounter. We just have to figure out what two standards we need to make this one vulnerable. We need War Beasts and Axes. If you don't have Radiant, you won't quite one-shot to the body with Ariana, so you want to go for headshots. Standard bearer down. It's a little low on special ammo, so I went out of my way for that. We'll just go ahead and dunk it right away. When dunking those standards, I hate how it kind of forces you to face one particular direction. Alright, let's take out these Bellkeepers so we can go on and get our final standard. Of course, I almost lost my throwing hammer there, but we recovered it. And now we just need the War Beast standard, and we should be able to finish this fight up. last standard bearer is down. We've acquired the very last standard. And now we're going to head back to the regular realm and finish up the vault encounter by killing the last boss. Last standard is placed, and now we can DPS this boss. I'm going to kill a few legionaries to maintain Roaring Flame, get a bit of healing here, and hopefully clear out the arena a little bit so I don't have to deal with so much damage. Now we're going to go for that boss. If it weren't in the air, I could actually hit it with my hammer. I'm going to have to wait just a second here. Alright, let's go for it. And this one goes so much better when I'm not getting booped around by the boss. Might as well just use my super here. Makes it a lot safer too. May not be as quick as the throwing hammer, but it does a solid amount of damage. And there it is. The boss is down. We're done with a vault encounter. Now I'm going to prepare my loadout for the final boss encounter. There we go. One more switch. And we should be ready for that final boss. Now we just have to get there. So again, there's not much to say during these jumping sections. I would highly recommend learning these before you really jump into any serious solo flawless attempts. As you can see, I just swapped to Lion Rampant again. I'm trying to avoid dying to a hole right before the final boss fight. You can kind of see how dying to this hole right before the final boss fight has traumatized me a little bit. That's why I swapped to Lion Rampant here. You can also see me being quite careful with my jumps here, which is not like me very much, but I really just didn't want to die at this point. And so just take the jumping puzzles as slowly as you want to ensure that you don't die to something silly like I have.
May she outshine it always.
Alright, now I need to swap back real quick. Make sure I have my build for the final boss fight. Let's place the banner and let's get started here. Make sure everything's reloaded first, of course. Alright, so I'm going to try to take some scions out in the back with a fusion grenade right away. But then I'm going to try to kill the Bellkeepers quickly with Arbalest. Arbalest is an excellent weapon here. You can shoot the backpacks and they'll explode and you won't have to worry about the backpacks lying on the ground. And you can easily kill the Bellkeepers in one shot. I'm going to head around and just kind of bonk a bunch of enemies with my hammer. This is going to provide enough healing and resistance that I'll just be able to continually do this. It's just so much faster than trying to kill them with my auto rifle, and the scions move around so much that it can be difficult anyway sometimes. So we're heading around the arena. We're not going to use the same cheese that I used in my Warlock run because it's not possible anymore. You can no longer disable the doors in this encounter, so you'll always have adds in the normal realm. And so we need axes and chalice in the nightmare realm. Killing all those Bellkeepers at the beginning opened up 3 bells, one in the front and one to the left, one to the right. For this encounter, you would want to use a map because it allows you to be able to find the 2 scions you need to kill in the nightmare realm as quickly as possible. So I knew where to go right here, and so I was able to kill the 2 scions that I needed right here at the beginning. This will give me both of the standards that I need, but we do have to kill all 4 Bellkeepers in the arena to be able to return back to the normal realm. They will spawn at the areas where your bell is not. You also do not want to kill any other scions here. Doing so will reduce your nightmare collapsing timer, and you really don't have a lot of time to work with already, so you don't want to risk that. So I have 2 standards. Every time I come out, I try to kill some of the scions that spawn right away, and I try to dunk my standards right away as well. Now this is going to get a little bit hectic. You can kill as many adds as you feel comfortable with. Just know that scions will respawn. Every time you dunk a standard, you should get some of the big boys coming out of those doorways, but you will get periodic spawns of scions no matter what. So in this case, I decided to leave the enemies because I didn't really want to kill them, and we're going to head in and grab our next 2 standards. Like I said, in that normal realm, feel free to clear out as many adds as you want to. I kind of ignore them because I'm trying to get through the boss fight here. And you have so much resistance and healing on these Titan builds that you can really afford to run around the arena. And really you don't have to worry too much about dying, especially with the Laurelly Splendor. If you do get critical damage, you will get that healing from placing down that sunspot. So as you can see, I didn't really describe this one too much. I killed the Bellkeepers. I went to the 2 appropriate scions and killed them. And when we come back out, we're going to get a new scion spawn. And you can see there's a bunch of these Centurions out still. I'm trying to clear a couple of them out here. I'm going to go ahead and dunk my standards. As you can see, when I dunk the standard, we get more Centurions. I somehow lost my hammer, which is not good. Let's go ahead and try to get our hammer back with Soul Invictus. So I'm standing in the sunspot to proc Soul Invictus. I'm going to head back here to pop my barricade to also create a sunspot to do the same thing. I want to do this before I dunk the next standard because we are going to be heading into boss damage after I dunk that next standard. So here it is. That's where we're going to dunk the Chalice standard. Like I said, you can clear out as many adds as you feel comfortable with. You can leave a lot of them. You can take out all of them. It doesn't really matter too much. But I'm really demonstrating how good at throwing these hammers I am right here. I'm going to go ahead and dunk. Once you've dunked 4 standards, you're going to be able to shoot the chains here. Once you shoot the chain, you're going to get teleported to boss damage in just a moment. Immediately when I get teleported, I'm going to kill as many Bellkeepers as possible. So I kept Roaring Flames up so I can kill some of the ones in the middle. And you want to look for where Caiatl's going. So Caiatl's coming to this middle bell. I'm going to stun her by shooting the bell standing right next to it. And I got my hammer throw on Caiatl as well, which is going to give me radiant to improve my linear fusion rifle damage. Now I am being shot by several enemies, including some more bell keepers as well as scions. I saw that Caiatl was going to head to this left bell next. I killed this bell keeper with my hammer so that I would get a well, which would give me charges of light. That gives me high energy fire, which does stack with radiant, and you can see I'm doing more damage now. I used my hammer to kill that bell keeper. I'm going to stun Caiatl, get a hammer throw to get radiant. Unfortunately here I did not get a charge of light, so I didn't have that extra damage on my linear fusion rifle. I spent those charges of light killing those scions, unfortunately. But you have to do what you have to do in order to be able to do damage. Doesn't matter if you get a 2-phase or a 3-phase, but all we have to do now is repeat the process to get back to a damage phase. I'm going to go ahead and try to kill all the bell keepers. We're going to start bonking with the hammer and missing in this case. You will still have some leftover Centurions from earlier if you did not kill them like I didn't. But like I said, we can just run around the arena, bonking enemies with the hammer, and with enough healing and damage resistance, we should be perfectly fine. The appropriate resist mods, tier 10 resilience, and the healing build that I've created really make this fairly simple to be able to run around and not have to worry about dying. Alright, so let's see what standards we need. We do have one more bell keeper up. That opens up the middle bell now. All the bells should be open. We need Chalice and War Beasts. So again, having a map pulled up if you do not know the Nightmare Realm for this encounter is very useful. I'm going to go ahead and go for one of the bell keepers right away. Kill the first scion that I need. I also choose to go in on the bell that's pretty close to at least one of the scions that I need. We're going to head up here, bonk these two bell keepers, and I'm going to get my second standard. Now we're going to head back and dunk. Let's get a Well of Life so I'm a little bit safer while dunking this War Beast standard. And you can see there are several ads all over the arena. You do have to be careful not to get overwhelmed. If you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, you really got to clear some of them out. Also doesn't help if you miss your throwing hammer, which I do frequently apparently. Alright, let's go ahead and dunk this second standard. Alright, so I need War Beast and axes again. With Roaring Flames active, my fusion grenade will easily kill one of the bell keepers in the middle of the Nightmare Realm, so that's why I kind of wanted to get that going. So we're going to head and get our War Beast and Axe standards. I'm going to throw a fusion and completely miss. But I do have my first standard. We have axes there. Go ahead and Arbalest these two bell keepers. Let's go ahead and hit some of these backpacks in the ground so they don't explode at a later time and kill me. Let's kill the second Scion. All the Bellkeepers are down, all the Scions are down. I just have to grab the standard and then get out. And I lost my hammer. Didn't realize it. Just saw it explode. So we're going to have to get that back before we head into the next damage phase here. I just realized it now when I went and tried to bonk that Scion. So we're going to do our best to get it back here. I also wanted to experiment and see if I could dunk while in my super and maintain my super, and it turns out that you can. I almost have my hammer back. There we go. Hammer is back. Let's not lose that again. I dunked and we can head into the damage phase. I do want to pick up this heavy ammo because I'm not quite full. I want to refresh Roaring Flames so that I can be able to take out the Bellkeepers right in front of me when I get in there. So I shot the chain. We wait just a little bit. Prepare for the Bellkeepers. Alright. Middle two Bellkeepers down. Take one out on that side. Caiatl's coming down the middle again. We're going to go ahead and stun. Hammer throw. And as you can see, I do have high energy fire active and I'm missing the headshots. Fortunately, the enemies all around me are making it difficult, but I'm going to take out one of those and we're going to head that way. I'm going to try to hammer throw this Bellkeeper. Alright, we should have a charge of light. We should have Radiant, and I completely missed that shot. Alright, I did a little bit more damage. We're probably not going to two-phase this because I've botched some of the headshots here, but we should easily be able to get it in the three-phase. We're going to get definitely very close to a two-phase here, but probably not close enough. Alright. Stunned, and now we go for the headshots. And I'm out of ammo. If I was not out of ammo, I may have gotten this. Look how close I am. I'm so very close to being able to finish off Caiatl. Even doing this little bit of extra damage probably won't be enough, and so I'm going to resign myself to a third damage phase to remove that sliver of health. Probably not going to talk through this next damage phase too much because it's going to be a repeat of what we just saw. Plus, I'm going to try to rush this one a little bit just so I can get this encounter done with. really is a shame that Caiatl has so little health left. If I just didn't botch a few shots, I should have had this in a much quicker fashion, but sometimes it'll happen, and you really just got to adapt and make sure that you don't get stressed out heading into this last damage phase, because I could have easily messed something up here and died, and I don't want that to happen. And so I do need to be careful still. I don't want to rush too heavily, but I do want to get the encounter done. Alright, we have our final 2 standards to go and take care of the sliver of health on Caiatl. Let's head back to the normal realm, get those dunked, and get to the final damage phase. Just one more standard to dunk. As you can see, I just popped my super just so I could go ahead and dunk from safety, and I hit the bell there. We're gonna head in and we're gonna deal with the bell keepers right away, of course. Looks like Caiatl's heading off to the right here. And we're gonna ring the bell to stun Caiatl, and 1 Arbalest shot is all I needed. I only needed 1 more buffed Arbalest shot on the last damage phase to get a 2 phase. Either way, we got it done. That was a solo flawless completion of the Duality dungeon on a Titan after the Titan nerf, and with no exploits during that final boss fight. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.